Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Now today I thought, do you know what, I haven't done some in between my live videos for quite some time, and I just wanted to get filming. So I've done all my face up already, and I'm going to put the details of what I've got on. But I thought, I suddenly realised the other day that I've got most of Victoria Beckham's eyeliners. And I think I told you that on my live, if you watch my lives. And if you don't, you'll be interested in this. So I wanted to show you the new blue eyeliner by Victoria Beckham. And I also wanted to show you the other ones because I've got virtually all of them, with the exception of one shade in the sequin liner, which is called Gold Lame. And I'll tell you why I didn't get that one. And I think actually that's it. Oh yes, and I haven't got the night one, the sparkling night one. I'm going to put the details of the ones I haven't got below. But you can see swatches of all the others. Now I have actually got two of her eyeliners on with this makeup look today. I have got on the top lid and in my top waterline, I have got Fig, which is her purpley plummy shade. And in my lower waterline, I think you can see I have got Sea Grey, which goes beautifully with the mirror lid luster that I've got on as well with this look. But anyway, let's get on so that you can see all the shades of Victoria Beckham's eyeliners, and I'll start with the new, and then I'll tell you why I like them and why I think they're kind of worth it, although the price has gone up recently. So let's get going. Okay, I'm going to start with the newest one because you may all be tuning in to see the new one and you may have all the others. So I'll start with that, and it's called Surfside. Now, as you can see, if you don't own Victoria Beckham's liners, there are two sides to it, and I always take the lid off the wrong side. But the thick side is where you've got the pencil, okay? I always take the wrong side off, and the smaller side is actually where you've got the smudger. And I think that's on the right way. Yes, it is. But I always think that that's the smudger side, and this is not. So you've got a lovely little smudger there, which is quite good. And it's also really handy if you want to put highlighter in this bit, even if you don't want to use it for the liner, because it just fits so neatly into that little bit. I use it a lot for that. Anyway, so this is the liner in Surfside. Now, this is a kind of, it's a blue, but it's almost a turquoisey blue. It's not really, but there's a slight hint of turquoise in it. Now, what I like about this is because of the slight hint of turquoise, it is actually going to suit most eye colours. Because it's a kind of almost greeny blue, it's going to work with brown eyes, it's going to work with blue eyes, and it's going to work with green eyes. Okay, so you can see now it's quite a bit lighter than a navy blue, which I'm going to show you next. And don't worry, because I am going to swatch them all at the end of this video. Do you know what? I'm not sure which lid is supposed to go on which side, because this one's the other way around now. So I'm going to have to take note when I get another one of the liners. But this is my navy noir one, and I'm just going to swatch this next to Surfside so you can see the difference. So the navy noir is almost black. Okay, now the thing is that when you put that on, if you've got brown eyes, it's really going to make your eyes pop. I've talked about this a lot before, that when you have a dark navy, even though you can't always recognise it instantly as being navy because it looks more like black, it will contrast with your brown eye colour, and therefore it will make your eyes pop. Because even though it might not be that distinguishable when you're looking at it, when somebody sees it in terms of the contrast with the eye, it does. Now, if you want something to look a little bit more blue, obviously you would put this on. Now, this one, I noticed that Victoria Beckham applied this to her waterline on her Instagram feed recently, and it looked a lot darker on her than it did on me. On my waterline, it actually really contrasted, and it really showed almost like the kind of, you know, Lady Diana, the way that she wore her blue liner in her waterline, lower waterline in the 80s, whereas it looked darker on Victoria Beckham. And that's why at the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch these on my hand, and I'm also going to swatch them on my inner arm, because as we've discovered, they can, especially her sequin liners, which I'm going to get onto in a minute. Her sequin liners can look very different whether you've got a warm undertone or a cool undertone. And the back of my hand is very warm undertone, and my inner arm is quite cool. So we've noticed when I've been doing the live and I've swatched it on different parts, you can really see a big difference. Okay, but I do love the navy one, and I do love Surfside. Now I'm going to get on. I'm not going to go through all of them one by one and talk, but I'm going to just show you a couple of the new sequin shades and another one of the new. So there's two different types. So you've got the normal satin kajals and you've got the sequin kajals. Now the thing to remember with the sequin ones is that they are sparkly and you're not supposed to put them in your waterline. So, you know, you can put them on your lid, you can put them underneath, but you can't put them in the waterline, lower or upper waterline. Okay, so you need to remember that, obviously, in terms of placement. So one of her, I'm going to go to one of her other newer shades, in fact, two other of her newer shades in the regular satin kajals, so you can see those colours. Okay, so if we're going in order of when they were released, so I started out talking to you about Surfside. That just came out in the last week or so. Now the next newest shade is Copper, which came out around Christmas time, and Copper is really pretty as well. Now this one I don't think I've messed about as much with, so I think this is supposed to go on the liner side, the thicker one, and then this one is supposed to go on the smudger. Okay, but who knows. Right, so here is Copper. Now Copper would be great if you've got blue eyes, really great in the waterline, because brown is the opposite to blue. So the reason that blue makes your eyes pop if you've got brown eyes, and brown makes your eyes pop if you've got blue eyes. Okay, so this is really pretty. And now this is, although it's got a shimmer to it, you'll see that this one, Surfside, hasn't got a shimmer, and the navy one hasn't got a shimmer. Something reflected in the light then, but I assure you that that's not got any shimmer in it. This has got a slight shimmer. It's metallic, but it's not one of her sequin ones. So it can get a bit confusing. If it doesn't say sequin, it's all right to put it in your waterline. The one that I put in my waterline, which is sea grey, is metallic, but it is not one of her sequin ones, so it's all right to put in the waterline. Okay, so this one is Copper, and it's very pretty. Again, it looks good with brown eyes. The thing is, if you go for opposite to your eye colour, then you get the contrast, which makes the eyes pop. But you can always match your eye colour. And there's no rules about what you can and can't. It's really what you feel you suit as well, and what colours really make you feel alive. I love purple, which is why I put purple on today. But anyway, so that is the Copper shade, and that came out around about Christmas. Then moving on to the one that came out about August. So I kind of missed this release and only got this at Christmas. It came out around, I think, August or September, is Fig. And that's the one I've got on my upper line. And again, this is one of her usual kajals. Okay, and that is Fig. Now, my sister was interested in getting this, but she thought that the swatches looked very similar to Bordeaux. Now, Bordeaux was not one that came out recently, but I'm going to show you Bordeaux so that you can see Fig next to Bordeaux, because it does look similar on the swatches, but I think it's quite a different shade once you apply it. Okay, so I'm going to show you Bordeaux next. Okay, so this is Bordeaux. As you can see, there's a lot more red in it. Okay. Now that would be good if you got green eyes. Okay, so really, really good if you've got green eyes. This would, as I've said before, purple looks good on any colour eye because it will contrast with any colour eye, unless you have purple contact lenses in which case it won't contrast, but it'll just match. I don't know of anyone that's got naturally purple eyes, but who knows? Someone might message me. Let me know if you do. I've never heard of it. But this one is quite similar. Now, you might think that that looks brown. It's a kind of reddy brown, and it's quite similar to Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk eyeliner. But, of course, these are a lot softer, and I'm going to come on to the formula in a while. But now let's just quickly show you some of the newer ones of her. Well, all of her sequin liners are new. It's a new concept, came out just before Christmas. She brought out the sequin liners. So let me show you those next. Okay, I've just been confusing you for the last 5 minutes because they're not called sequin liners. They're called jewel liners, okay? But you can understand why I call them sequin. Before I move on to that, though, I just remembered that Victoria Beckham, not Charlotte, Victoria Beckham also has a bronze liner. And I just wanted to show you that next to copper so you can see the difference. Because you might think, oh, bronze, copper, they're very different, just so that you can see. But that is one of her usual ones. Again, it's metallic, but you can use that one in the waterline because it's not called a jewel liner. Not sequin. It's not called a jewel liner, okay? So here is a couple. Now, there are 4 sequin liners that have been released. I've got 2 of them, but I can show you a third swatch because I bought my sister one for Christmas in a colour that I don't have, which is, so there's one that's called Night Something. I'm going to put the name underneath, but it's basically a kind of shimmery black and grey, okay? And then there is a kind of khaki green shade, which we've discovered looks very different on different skin tones. So the other one is a quartz colour, but I'm just going to show you them. So all of these came out before Christmas. So here is the Sequin Green. Now this is the one that if you saw my live a couple of weeks ago, you will see that there's a big discrepancy on whether you've got a warm undertone or a cool undertone. So if you've got a warm undertone, it is going to come out really green looking. You can see the green in that. It's khaki, but it's green. Now, if you've got a really cool undertone, and I've still got some swatches here, as you can see that I haven't rubbed off. I've always got swatches. You can see that it looks a bit muddier. It doesn't look as green. And I watched a review, my good friend Rebecca at Not Fit for Print, and she wasn't impressed with this because when she smoked this out on her eye, it looked quite a muddy colour on her because she's got a cooler skin tone to me. And when I actually ignored her advice and went and bought it anyway, she said, I am so glad that you did because as you can see, it looks green. Now, if you've got a cool undertone and you want it to look like this, there are ways that you can adjust your eyeshadow base to make it look like that. If you really want to get that look, okay, which we can talk about, or pop me a comment below. I don't want to get sidetracked at the moment because there's a lot to get through. So pop me a comment below if you want a video about how to make this look as though you've got a warm undertone when you've got a cool undertone. And I'll do a little video about it, okay? Now, the other one that I got was this one. Now, I got this one afterwards because I saw it. Again, I saw it on Victoria Beckham and I thought, this is going to work really well with brown eyes. And it's called Smokey Quartz. Now, these two, the green one and this one, now you can see this is a sort of more browny shade, but it's very similar to the colour Chameleon that Charlotte Tilbury does for brown eyes. And I know it wasn't ever a colour that I shopped for in makeup until Charlotte Tilbury marketed this colour Chameleon for brown eyes, and I realised suddenly that it actually suited my eye colour. Now, that is what it looks like on a warm undertone. But what I was going to say is these two here that I've put here are the dual liners, okay? So these are ones that you cannot put on your waterline. Now, I will show you this on a cool undertone. So you can see it actually looks browner. It looks more grey on a warm undertone and it looks more brown on a cool undertone. So it really does make a difference in terms, and considering you're not putting these on your waterline, you're actually putting these on your skin. It's going to make a big difference to what it looks like. So really be careful when you're checking out swatches. If you're cool undertone, that you check the swatch for a cool undertone or a warm undertone. And I'm going to do all of those swatches at the end. Now, the other one is the night, whatever it's called. And I'm going to put the name. I did take a swatch picture of my sister's one. And I'm going to put it here. Okay, now the last one that neither my sister or I have got in the sequin, is it called? No, why do I keep wanting to call it sequin? I've got that stuck in my head now. The jewel liners. The last one is called Gold Lame or Lame, and it's gold. It's bright gold. It's beautiful, but there's a reason that I didn't get it. I'm tempted, but I don't really think it's worth it. And the reason I didn't get it is because you can't put it in the waterline and it's a liner. Now, what you could do, I mean, I'm not going to be one that's going to be putting bright gold liner on my upper lid. If I was going to use a metallic, I would be putting it in my waterline, and you can't put them in your waterline. The other way, if you do really like gold, you can actually get it. And if you don't want to use it as a liner, you can actually paint it on your mobile lid and use it like a colour Chameleon, like an eyeshadow pencil, or as a base for a gold. And that would look stunning. But the fact that they're selling it as a liner that you can't put in your waterline and it is light gold made me think, yeah, it's nice, but there's not a lot of product in here. You're going to run out of it quickly if you use it as an eyeshadow pencil as opposed to a liner. And, you know, they've now gone up to £26, these liners. There's been a massive price increase since Christmas. So before Christmas, you could get these liners for £20 without the sharpener. And if you opted to get it with the sharpener, it would cost you £22. Now, the price has increased to £26, whether or not you put a sharpener in your basket, which seems bizarre, but it's £26 come what may, okay? So, Those are the jewel liners. Now, I'm going to leave you with a picture of all the other shades. And she's tended to bring them out in dribs and drabs, which is why I've ended up collecting a lot of them. And I think it's a really good marketing idea, instead of bringing out a whole load all at once. Before I go, though, and before I show you the swatch pictures, the reason that I like Victoria Beckham's eyeliners, I'm going to tell you the pros and cons, because there are some cons to it. Firstly, do make sure that whichever lid you put on, and I've got to check out which side I'm supposed to be putting on, make sure that the lid is on, because they are very soft and they can dry out. They're okay if you sharpen them again, they will revive within reason. But sometimes I've noticed as well, these lids can drop off, and that may be because I'm putting the wrong lid on the wrong side. Also, I've got one of those pencil holders, and one of them got stuck in there because I think I put this side in and it grasped the lid and pulled it off, and I couldn't get the lid out of the pencil holder for ages. So they're just little kind of things to consider. Now, the advantage of these liners is that they are incredibly soft, which means that if you've got crepey lids, you do not have to press hard. They're almost like putting a liquid liner on. They're so soft. You do not have to press hard on your lids to get a really smooth line. And it doesn't drag, and it looks great. Now, the disadvantage is, because it's quite soft, it doesn't set very well or very quickly. And if you've got hooded lids like me and you put a thick line on the top there and you look up, you might find that it's transferred onto your eye. Now, I don't mind that, because there is a way to get round it. And the way that I get round that is, if I'm going to do a thick line, it doesn't always happen, and it's only if I'm doing a thick line. If you find that they're transferring and you don't want them to transfer, then what I do is I just set it with a bit of powder of the similar colour on my upper waterline. Underneath, it's not a problem. And in your waterline, the metallics look lovely and they stay put. Sorry, I'm back. I just had to stop for a minute. So as I was saying, these last a long time in your waterline. I actually find that I have to work hard to remove them from my waterline, which I've never had to think about how to remove eyeliner from your waterline. So they are really good. The other thing is that she does a specific liner for your waterline, which I'm going to show you before I go. And I'll be right back to show you that. Okay, so she does this one, which is kind of like the equivalent. You know, I've got a lot of Charlotte Tilbury. If you've been watching me for a long time, I do mostly Charlotte Tilbury. So it's like Charlotte Tilbury's Eye Cheat. It's very good. Again, it's not as soft as the ones on the upper lid, but you don't really want them to be quite that soft for the waterline. I'm just going to sharpen this so I can swatch it for you. It does last a long time. I found I did one day, I put on Charlotte Tilbury's on one eye and I put this on the other eye, and I would say they lasted about the same amount of time. This one is slightly different colour. It's slightly warmer in shade than Charlotte's. So it's kind of warmer off-white than Charlotte's, which is slightly whiter. It depends what you like. I mean, they're both... I'm comparing this directly to Charlotte's Eye Cheat, not the double-ended ones that have got... like the new ones out or whatever. I'm talking about the original Eye Cheat of Charlotte's. They're both good. I would recommend them both, to be honest. They're really good. Slightly different colour. and I will try and swatch Charlotte's next to it so that you can see the difference. All right, but I'm going to leave you with some swatches of all the liners, and do let me know if you've got any questions about them. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to do one on all the lid lusters, because again, I've got most of them apart from 2. So I'm going to do a little video about that with my tips and tricks on how to use it. Hope you've enjoyed this video today, and thank you for watching. Mwah! Love you all. Bye-bye.